The full episode is now available on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Please see the link in the description for more details.
But okay, you wanted to talk about the leaked picture of the Green Man that came out from the set of House of the Dragon.
Somebody snuck some photos of them on the set, and it's very different than what everybody kind of had in mind. They got like long. It's like a Sasquatch. It's a Sasquatch with
I see
horns.
it here.
And then you can see that they've blue. The actors wearing like blue like leggings that they're gonna key out and have goat legs. I'm assuming because you kind of saw the goat legs last season. So they're really making them like satyrs. And if it's not like a dream sequence, they're really I don't think George would have something like that. Like I don't think George would have like just straight up satyr man because there's like that fan theory that the green men are like humans, like that they're humans. And I think a lot of fans support that the green men are humans or children of the forest or something like that. And the idea that they're horned, like they have like animal horns growing out of their heads, is maybe a misunderstanding because George really likes that, where legends are kind of misunderstandings of something more plausible. So like some people are like, oh, the horns are horned helmets or something, or there's like the genius. I think this is a genius fan theory that they're like the Shklima. I sound like crazy. There's no Preston here to tell me to support me with the Thousand World stuff, but the Shklima in Song for Leah, that there's a cult that like they put the Shklima, which is like this alien creature that's kind of like the werewood, and they put it in their head and it like grows into their brain and like connects them telepathically. So there's like that fan theory that the horns are actually werewood branches that like are growing into their skull and connecting them into the werewood net kind of thing. Which I think is genius. I think that's a great idea because it subverts your George loves that. He's so like, especially with like legends where you subvert your expectations with it. The legends are wrong, but there's a kernel of truth in them. But I don't know how you explain this, where it's like a guy who's like a Wookiee and he's got like seemingly goat legs and horns, and it's like not a costume or something.
Well, if we're led to believe some of the rumors online that George R.R. Martin pretty much invented the Wookiee.
This is true. They I will say they look like, the costume does look like the Janshi on oh my gosh, I'm getting really heavy Thousand Worlds here. The Janshi in Seven Times Never Kill Man, which is where that's where that kind of comes from. Where George R.R. Martin, he wrote that short story called Seven Times Never Kill Man, where there's a race of like these furry aliens that live in the woods. They're kind of like Ewoks. They're kind of closer to Ewoks than they are to like Wookiees. But then again, like that's Wookiees and Ewoks kind of derived from the same concept art. But yes, that Seven Times Never Kill Man, he published it in Asimov magazine or Analog magazine, something like that. And there was an illustration done for it on the book cover. And if you compare that illustration
with 1975, and here is the cover, by the way. Are you sure they're more Ewoks? Because based off this cover, they look kind of like Wookiees, and one guy's holding a gun.
That's the thing, is that Ewoks are Wookiees. You know, like that originally in Return of the Jedi, like they were supposed to go to Kashyyyk.
Right. And
it would be they would be Wookiees, but I don't know what Lucas's reason was. I think it was maybe too expensive or something like that, or he wanted. So they kind of scrapped it and like turned the Wookiees into Ewoks, and like so they're kind of connected. But yes, like that definitely looks like Ralph McQuarrie's drawing of Wookiees in concept art, and it's George R. R. Martin has I think he's claimed this, that Ralph McQuarrie used this art to create Wookiees, so George R. R. Martin like indirectly created Wookiees. And they're, you can kind of see it where it's like these furry creatures that are holding sci-fi guns, and like it's true. And the Janshi are kind of like in the same way that Ewoks are supposed to be like George Lucas has said this, the Ewoks are supposed to be Viet Cong, and George R. Martin
he wishes.
Like yeah like and yes, in Seven Times Never Kill Man, the Janshi, like there's a faction of Janshi that are like jungle rebels that are like Viet Cong, and they're banding together against the Steel Angels, which are kind of like this religious force that are kind of like America, trying to conquer their homeworld. I can see it. I can definitely see it. That like thematically, Wookiees and Janshi are very similar. In addition to just them being aesthetically, like their design's already similar. So yes. Anyways, yes. The Green Man design in Hot D looks a lot like a Wookiee Janshi like it looks like the Jack Link's beef jerky Sasquatch. You ever see that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Maybe it's Ryan Condal still trying to kind of celebrate George R.R. Martin in a way, because there's no way he wouldn't have known about like the Janshi thing. So maybe he's trying to combine the Janshi element with George's earlier works with the description of what the Green Men, because isn't that the description of the Green Men in the books that sometimes they have like antlers, sometimes they don't. They wear cloths. They wear green clothes or something like that. They have like leaves for hair and stuff. Mm-hmm. And this kind of comes back in the main story where you learn that children of the forest wear leaves as clothes and stuff. So you're like, oh, maybe it's like first, like, I think the general fan theory is that, like, I think there's very few fans that actually believe that green men actually grow antlers and are like these like satyr Greek mythology like creatures. I think like most fans believe that the green men are like priests, like they're first men that are living on the island, or descendants of first men that are priests that have taken on the role of children of the forest, like have taken on their clothes and their culture and their religion and serve as priests, and they just kind of wear horns or something. Like I think very few people are like, yes, like this interpretation of the green men that Ryan Condal seems to take here, where they're like these literal magic centaur, satyr, like Greek mythology, like beings, feels very un-George-like to me. Because even like the children of the forest, they're kind of like treated like a subspecies of human and stuff. And they don't have like, because George R. R. Martin's really concerned about biology, like with the, we've talked about like how he has like 100 different examples of complaining about dragons having four limbs and 2 wings and that kind of thing. Like he cares about evolution, even in A Song of Ice and Fire. And like humans, I know there's instances of humans growing horns, like they have some type of condition that they grow like keratin skin or something like that, but humans don't really grow giant deer antler horns, or just like, it's kind of unrealistic. So for this to be the case, like realistically in George R. R. Martin's world, seems kind of out of the ordinary, without like gene editing or something. I don't know what's going on here like that. And like, I'm kind of hoping that this stuff is a dream sequence or something, a vision. Because with visions, you can kind of just say like, oh, that's just somebody's psyche making up a kind of nonsense creature. But if it shows up like legitimately, like green men actually look like Jack Link's beef jerky with horns and goat legs, like that feels very kind of un-George-like to me. George, I don't know if George would have something like that in his world. But, then again, he has... Well, you're going to Comic-Con, so you could ask him.
Yeah, I should ask George about... No, but that's the thing, is the green men are like the biggest mystery in the main series. He's not going to reveal that. Because like, okay, here's an example. In the World Book, it goes out of its way to explain centaurs. So like, it's like, oh, centaurs, like the horse people that have horse bodies. They're human from the waist up, and from the waist down they have horse bodies. Actually, those are probably misunderstandings of Dothraki riding horses for the first time and encountering people that haven't, like kind of the idea that conquistadors meeting Native Americans, and Native Americans like thought they were one connected being, which is kind of like a myth. Like they actually didn't really believe that. That's something conquistadors made up about Native Americans, but that's a historical thing that people claim. So that's something that's mentioned in the World Book. Like the World Book, like George goes out of his way to dispute, like to explain away mythology, that like mythology, oh, it's actually a misunderstanding of this thing, and there's this kernel of truth. And that's kind of what I assumed the green men's deal was, is that they didn't actually have antlers, they're not actually like goat men, they're just kind of like misunderstanding, like they're actually humans in costume. Like George would do something like that.